The haunting of Elmwood Manor. I never imagined that my journey to Elmwood Manor would lead me to the heart of a bone-chilling mystery. As a journalist with an insatiable curiosity for the unknown, I had heard whispers about the haunted mansion in Willow Creek, but nothing could have prepared me for what I would encounter. Armed with my camera and a keen sense of adventure, I set out to uncover the truth behind the eerie tales surrounding Elmwood Manor. The townsfolk spoke in hushed tones, warning me of the inexplicable phenomena that had plagued the mansion for decades. But I was undeterred. I wanted to document these stories and perhaps debunk the myths surrounding the place. The night was cold and misty when I arrived at Elmwood Manor. Its grandeur loomed before me, a striking contrast against the darkness of the surrounding woods. Ivy-clad walls seemed to whisper secrets, and the flickering lanterns in the distance only added to the enigma. I began my investigation by talking to the townspeople. They recounted tales of chilling encounters, from eerie apparitions to unexplained noises that echoed through the night. Each story sent a shiver down my spine, but I was determined to delve deeper. The town's historical society offered me a glimpse into the mansion's past. The Callahan family had been the proud owners of Elmwood Manor, known for their lavish parties and generous contributions to the community. But tragedy struck when a devastating fire engulfed the mansion, claiming the lives of the entire family. As I stood in the grand hallway, my camera ready to capture any sign of the supernatural, I felt an unsettling presence. The air seemed to grow heavy, and a sudden gust of wind swept through the room. I brushed it off as a trick of my imagination and continued my exploration. With each step, I felt the weight of history upon my shoulders. The rooms held memories long forgotten, and the walls seemed to whisper the tragedy that had unfolded within their confines. Then, in the dim light of the candlelit hallway, I saw it, a flickering light dancing in the distance. My heart raced as I followed the glow, and to my astonishment, I captured it on camera. The orb of light seemed to have a life of its own, moving and swirling with an eerie grace. As I ventured deeper into the mansion, I noticed strange shadows flitting across the walls. The temperature dropped, and a sense of being watched engulfed me. Fear mingled with fascination, urging me to press on despite my trembling hands. In the heart of Elmwood Manor, I felt a connection to the past, a visceral link to the spirits that once resided here. Were they trying to communicate with me? Or was it merely my mind playing tricks in the haunted halls? I had set out to uncover the truth, but what I discovered was beyond my wildest imagination. The hauntings of Elmwood Manor were not merely legends, they were real, and they were all around me. As I left the mansion, my heart still racing, I knew that this was just the beginning of my haunting journey. Elmwood Manor had revealed its secrets to me, and I was determined to share its chilling story with the world. Little did I know that my investigation into Elmwood Manor would lead me to even darker revelations in the days to come. The truth behind this haunted mansion would test my courage and challenge everything I thought I knew about the boundaries between the living and the dead. After my spine-chilling encounter at Elmwood Manor, I couldn't shake the feeling that something otherworldly had latched onto my soul. Determined to unveil the mysteries that enshrouded the mansion, I returned to Willow Creek for one final investigation. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the mansion's facade, I felt a mix of trepidation and anticipation. Elmwood Manor loomed before me, its ominous presence beckoning me to unravel the secrets it held. As I stepped inside the mansion, the air was thick with an unnatural chill. Goosebumps prickled my skin, and my breath hung like mist in the air. I could feel eyes on me, scrutinizing my every move. With my camera at the ready, I explored the mansion's depths, determined to capture any evidence of the supernatural. Eerie creaks echoed through the halls, and faint whispers seemed to linger in the breeze. It was as if the very walls were telling their tales of sorrow and despair. In one of the grand bedrooms, I encountered something that would forever haunt my dreams. A shadowy figure stood by the window, its form shifting and indistinct. My heart raced, and fear paralyzed me, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. The figure dissipated into thin air, leaving behind a haunting memory. As I continued my investigation, I stumbled upon the mansion's hidden passages and secret chambers. Each step took me deeper into the heart of darkness. Unearthly apparitions danced at the corners of my vision, and whispers filled my ears, but I pressed on, determined to reveal the truth. In the depths of Elmwood Manor, I found a collection of old diaries, each bearing witness to the mansion's tragic past. The Callahan family's accounts detailed their desperate attempts to ward off the malevolent forces that plagued their home. Suddenly, a force gripped me, and I was drawn to the basement like a moth to a flame. The air grew suffocating, and the darkness seemed to come alive. My flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. As I descended into the depths, the walls seemed to close in around me. Whispers grew louder, and an overwhelming sense of sorrow consumed me. I could feel the anguish that permeated every inch of the mansion. In the basement's dim light, I discovered a hidden chamber, adorned with arcane symbols and strange artifacts. I knew I had stumbled upon something sinister. A cold breeze brushed against my cheek, and an icy hand seemed to reach out from the darkness. My heart pounded in my chest as I witnessed a vision of the past unfold before my eyes. The tragedy that had befallen the Callahan family replayed in haunting detail. Their anguish and torment trapped within these walls, yearning for release. In that moment, I knew that Elmwood Manor was not just haunted by restless spirits but cursed by a malevolent force that fed off sorrow and despair. It was a vortex of darkness, drawing in all who dared to enter. As I fled the mansion, I knew that my time at Elmwood Manor had come to an end. The truth I sought had been revealed, and it was darker and more terrifying than I could have ever imagined. The haunting of Elmwood Manor would forever be etched in my memory, a tale of horror and sorrow that defied explanation. As I drove away, I knew that the spirits of the past would forever linger within those walls, whispering their tragic stories to anyone who dared to listen. My journey had ended, but the legacy of Elmwood Manor would endure, a chilling reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the dead. The haunting gaze. Mr. Johnson, an elderly man, lived a solitary life in a quaint house nestled on the outskirts of town. Surrounded by a dense forest, his home provided a serene escape from the bustle of the world. However, as the days passed, he began to sense an eerie presence lingering in the shadows. Late one evening, as the moon bathed the woods in an eerie glow, Mr. Johnson noticed a peculiar occurrence. In the dim light, he caught a glimpse of a face staring back at him from the window. Its eyes were hollow, devoid of life, and seemed to pierce into his very soul. Thinking it was just a figment of his imagination, he tried to dismiss the image, but it kept returning night after night. Each time he passed the window, the haunting face greeted him with its hollow gaze. The apparition became an obsession for Mr. Johnson, consuming his thoughts day and night. Sleep eluded him as he tried to comprehend the enigma of the face in the window. He tried to rationalize it, blaming it on his aging mind or mere reflections, but deep down, he knew it was something else entirely. As the days turned into weeks, the face seemed to grow more prominent and real, haunting his every waking moment. Mr. Johnson became a shell of his former self, consumed by fear and paranoia. He stopped venturing into the woods and barely left the confines of his home. The townspeople noticed the change in him, whispering among themselves about the old man's peculiar behavior. Some claimed to have seen a spectral figure peering out from his window, but others dismissed it as mere gossip. Unbeknownst to the townsfolk, Mr. Johnson had a dark secret buried in his past. Decades ago, he had been involved in a tragic accident that took the life of his childhood friend. Guilt had gnawed at him for years, and now, it seemed to have returned to haunt him in the form of the ghostly face. Little did he know that the face in the window was more than just a ghostly apparition, it was the embodiment of his long-buried guilt and remorse. The spirit of his deceased friend sought solace and closure, yearning for him to acknowledge the truth. As Mr. Johnson's sanity teetered on the edge, he knew he could no longer escape the haunting gaze. The time had come to confront his past and the spectral figure that beckoned him from the window. Unable to bear the torment any longer, Mr. Johnson resolved to confront the face in the window. With trembling hands, he gathered the courage to look into those hollow eyes and address the haunting presence. On a moonlit night, as the wind whispered through the trees, he stood before the window, his heart pounding in his chest. "I'm sorry," he whispered, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. "Forgive me for what happened all those years ago." To his surprise, the face in the window softened, its hollow eyes filled with a glimmer of understanding. The apparition seemed to acknowledge his words, conveying a sense of forgiveness that eased the weight of guilt on Mr. Johnson's shoulders. In that moment, he realized that the face in the window was not an entity seeking revenge but a lost soul yearning for closure and peace. His long-deceased friend, trapped in limbo, had sought solace through him, the only one who could provide the forgiveness he desperately needed. With the truth revealed, Mr. Johnson found a sense of liberation he had not experienced in decades. The haunting presence that had tormented him for so long began to fade, and a sense of serenity washed over him. From that night on, the face in the window appeared less frequently, gradually becoming a distant memory. Mr. Johnson embraced life anew, no longer burdened by the weight of the past. He reconnected with the townspeople, who noticed a newfound sense of peace radiating from him. The story of the face in the window soon spread throughout the town, capturing the attention of curious minds. Some dismissed it as mere folklore, but others believed in the power of redemption and forgiveness. In the end, Mr. Johnson's experience became a cautionary tale, a reminder that unresolved guilt and buried secrets could manifest in the most unexpected and haunting ways. His story lingered in the minds of those who heard it, serving as a timeless reminder of the human need for absolution and closure. As the years passed, the face in the window became a legend, whispered around campfires and recounted by storytellers. The tale of the haunted old man who found redemption amidst the shadows of his past continued to captivate hearts and minds for generations to come. And so, the story of the face in the window became a part of the town's folklore, a tale of ghosts, guilt, and the power of forgiveness, forever etched into the fabric of history.